Hello and welcome back to Talk of the Apprentice.
Hello, we're here. We've just pulled up in our Alfa Romeo sports car.
And it is season... What even season? Is it only series 10?
No, season 19.
Oh, I don't have my glasses on. It's season 19, episode 2.
As we all call it.
Of The Apprentice.
Yes, this is Talk of the Apprentice, a mini-series from Talk of the Townsends where we talk about the latest season of The Apprentice. We're a little bit late this week, but I think we have a good excuse.
We're in Austria.
We were in Austria, which is where they went in episode 1.
To see the Dolomites.
Everywhere you look,
it's mountains.
there's mountains. We are doing a thing, we can reveal it now, where every episode we are going to go where they go. So after this episode, we did go to a Bamy concert, Bam microphone.
We went to the home of music.
Yes, we went to that random streets that the two of them were dancing in.
Yeah.
We'll crack into it chronologically, but what's your gut feeling about this episode?
Oh, it was a mess, wasn't it? It was an absolute mess. It was just wondering who was going to win over the other. It was so bad.
Yeah, so far in all of the 2 episodes we've had so far, there's never any like front runners. Well, actually, no, what am I saying? Last week there was a clear front runner.
Yeah.
But neither of them were good. No one's ever good in this, are they?
No, and this was really bad.
This was terrible.
So we started with a 4 a.m. start on The Apprentice this week.
They love doing that on The Apprentice. They're like, let's get them up at 4. Why?
Do you think that they get them up so early on The Apprentice so it's like they're a little bit delirious and wacky? Because sleep deprivation does do crazy things to people.
Definitely.
Why are they getting up at 4 a.m.?
Yeah, because you see them get up and then dress themselves. Presumably they do like makeup and stuff on them, but do they really need like... Because also when they leave the house, it's very clearly like the regular morning. It's always like bright sunshine.
I think they get them up at 4. I think they, when they're like 20 minutes till the cars,
Yeah.
the girls are doing rollers and doing, like blowouts. Like you can't do that in 20 minutes. So I do think they have slightly longer to get ready, but I still think it's very early that they leave.
To be fair, you know that mansion they stay in? Do you know where that is?
Manchester.
Azerbaijan. It's a very long journey.
It's a long commute each day.
Yeah, you need to get from Azerbaijan to Trafalgar Square or whatever. Or in this case, a weird music room.
Yeah, and Lord Sugar's going for... What's her name? Lorraine Kelly's job?
Yes.
There's that
lack thereof.
Or lack thereof. There's that famous account that tracks how often Lorraine Kelly actually turns up to work because she's always got a different presenter doing it. And we see quite a lot old Lord Sugar doesn't actually turn up.
No, he has got one of the sweetest deals in the biz. We said last week, and it bears repeating, he might be the most animated man of all time. How many separate times? Because obviously he can just probably phone in some voice lines.
Yeah.
And they just animate him.
Let's get down to business. They loved it.
They did.
They could not get enough of Let's Get Down to Business.
But Hannah, don't you understand? They're doing business. There's no one on the planet more easily amused than Apprentice candidates. They hear anything, they're like, yay!
Again, it's the sleep deprivation. They're so tired.
They're on goofballs.
It's like they're on drugs.
Music's my drug. I've always said that.
So the task was just make a pop star and make it marketable.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Like, I know virtual pop stars are a real thing, but like the process they were doing, as Apprentice things go, is one of the most made up tasks in history.
What would you have done? It's a hard task, isn't it? Because, my thought would have been, who's the biggest pop star in the world? Let's copy that. And copy that they did.
They did. Bamy.
Bamy.
So,
or Bam with a microphone.
Bam microphone. Obviously, we're at the point in the series where we don't fully remember who everyone is and who their names are.
And if we do remember your name, there's probably for bad reasons.
Yeah, for example, we remembered the name Keir Shave.
And Nadia.
We
cannot forget Nadia.
Keir Shave got a real backseat edit this week. He was like main character last week. They were like, Keir is on the shelf this week. But we were introduced to a brand new amazing name.
Max England.
Max England. As if that is a real name.
Max England popped up and I went, that guy's name's Max England, and you rewound so we could see that his name was Max England.
Max England is the name that like a German parachutist in World War II who gets captured. And they're like, what's your name? And he's like, my name is Max England.
Yeah.
An English guy.
From England.
Checks out.
We need to talk about poor Jordan, who got completely shifted this week. His literal job is animation.
Yeah.
And that she was like, you are going to have no part of this. And you could tell he was like really deflated. I was amazed when no one voted for him.
Yeah. Do they not like him or something? Because the choice was between Jordan, a guy whose whole job is animation, and what's her name? Nessa Rose?
Nessa.
We belong together.
What is her name? Me and Buck.
It's the same name, Amber Rose.
So it's between Amber Rose, the girl with the very big eyes.
Yeah.
Can we say that?
Ella Purnell. Adjacent.
Oh yeah, fair.
Ella Purhell this week.
And Jordan, whose full-time job is in animation, and he didn't even get sub-team.
That was crazy. And then
was it Luke?
I'm gonna keep calling her Nessa Rose because I got wicked on the brain. But Amber Rose was like, I want this guy, and then Luke himself was like, surely you'd pick the animation guy.
And she was
like, no.
I think sometimes when people take on the role of PM, I can understand what they're doing, where they're like, what did she say? Too many cooks spoil the soup.
Yes, the classic phrase.
What is it? Too many cooks spoil the broth.
I mean, she's not wrong. She's updated it for modern times.
I respect it. She put her own spin on it.
I like Bamy would.
I think sometimes when you're PM, it is like, too much going on. We need to get stuff done. If everyone talks and everyone has an opinion, that's when we see that like the project isn't finished, it's half done. So like I do understand taking the reins. However, if you do that, then everything is your decision and on your head be it. Because literally, if you don't let people speak.
I mean, we've seen project managers on The Apprentice, become mini tyrants before. Never to this extent, where she was literally like, you are not allowed to speak without putting your hand up.
Your hand has to come up.
These are adults. It's crazy.
The looks between the girls when she said that was so fantastic. I think one of the highlights of this episode is when she said, did we all like that? And then no one responded. And then she was like, guys, did we all like that? And they were like, oh, do you not want to speak to
the other guy? Yeah. I would, if that was me, I would have very passive aggressively put my hand up and been like, can I say I like it?
Nadia from The Apprentice saying that she could sing every genre of music really reminded me of Rachel from The X Factor, where she was like, what do you want me to sing? I can sing Kylie. I can sing
Prince.
I'm better than Madonna. It really reminded, it was like, what do you want? I've got it.
Nothing in history has surprised me less than when Nadia was like, I sing. I was like,
I know.
You have the most I sing energy of any human being.
I can sing. I think I can sing. It was such a... If you had the option to have a professional singer, right? That was on the cards for the contestants this week.
Yeah.
Either a professional singer comes in and then all you have to do is write the lyrics, or you yourself have to find someone out of you who could sing. Why would you pick?
I'll tell you why, Hannah. Because you had Nadia. Also, there was no sense of like budget or anything. It wasn't like you have to spend some money on the singer. They didn't seem to have any kind of set budget. So they could have had a singer if they wanted.
No.
But it was so much better that they didn't. Nadia, though, like, it's not whether she can or can't sing. It's just that I know just instantly from her vibe that she will tell you she sings.
She can tell.
And she will sing loud and proud.
Yeah.
She wasn't that bad, actually.
Two things. That guy, when he was getting ready, who was like pink to make the girls wink and was wearing a lilac tie.
Yes.
And the girl who got sub-team leader because she sang in a church choir.
Yeah. Look, she had something to offer. And then also, was it Anissa putting herself forward as PM, even though she was PM last time?
Yes.
Even though she lost abysmally last week. And all of them being like, yeah, we're down for that.
Yeah.
Do you think they did that because they were like, let her burn?
I think so. Because if you lost 2 weeks in a row, you're going home. It was brave. I actually quite respected that she was like, I want to change the narrative about myself.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that. We've seen previously people keep putting themselves up for PM and no one ever votes them because there's someone who they're like, a bit of a Nadia. I could imagine if Nadia puts herself up for team leader, people wouldn't be fast to vote her.
Because it's like a bit of a popularity contest sometimes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Which made me wonder about Jordan, the animation guy, because no one voted for him. It's like, do they not like him or something? It's weird.
Or you might just think this person's not... You've got to go with the person that you think is most likely to win for your team, right? Because you want to win. You don't want to be in the boardroom no matter what.
It's so crazy to not put him as PM or even sub-team leader, though, when his job is just animate. So crazy. I feel like there was a whole load of them that we didn't see for ages. I kept saying to you, is Kia Shave out of the show? And it was the sub-team that were writing the song.
Bamy's song, the slightly better song.
Yeah, and they wrote it syllable by syllable, didn't they? It was a slow-ass process.
There is one lady whose name I don't know who loved that song.
Yeah, every time it played, she was getting down.
She looked like she had written a #1 track. She loved it. You saw her in the pictures. She was singing along to it when they replayed it in the boardroom. She was singing along to it. She loved that song. And I I quite like that she was proud of what they'd created.
People are always like that on The Apprentice. People are so proud of what they make. I will say, free piece of business advice to everyone on The Apprentice this week. If you're playing a song to either a group of the public or to businesses, try not to openly laugh at your own song. Multiple times it get cut into them all just cracking up at their own work. You've got to believe in it a bit.
So the Apprentice contestants were trying to write a song, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, coming up with lyrics must be difficult. I've never written a song like that. Is tough.
And like a melody and everything.
Do you know what? We had that painful scene where that lady kept on singing back slightly different melodies that
oh my
there
God,
was just barely any difference in it. Like, you got to focus on surely the lyrics.
Yeah.
And focus they did. So we had Success Is Not Overnight. Mm-hmm. Then we had, how about just like, hey, I have your attention. So I loved, that was one of my favorites.
Was it Can I Have Your Attention?
Can I have your attention?
I love that as a song lyric. Can I have your attention?
There was that line that was like, we wanted Taylor Swift and we've ended up with Dot Cotton.
Pretty good.
So they created the songs. Both songs were, which one did you think was better? Bamy.
Oh God, I mean.
Surely Bamy.
That's like punch with the left fist or punch with the right. I actually think the other song was maybe a bit better because the Bamy song also had that random bit where
metatone or whatever.
The metronome.
Yes.
In the middle, it just went in the middle, almost like a mistake.
Yeah.
It was like they were trying to drop a beat, but then no beat dropped.
No, unfortunately, a no beat drop.
I think the other one was it Fred and Nads.
Yeah.
I think obviously the rapping sounded like kind of a weird chipmunk Kendrick Lamar.
I think the mistake was genuinely putting like a weird AI voice on it. It didn't need it. Although
No.
I guess we didn't hear the raw vocals from our girl Nads.
No, but presumably they were really good, I think.
So they created the song. We then went to a focus group to ask feedback on the song.
Yes, and they just said members of the public. And they walked into what looked like pubs, and there was just a random selection of people, and some of them had like headphones on.
Yes.
So you know they like music.
I'm assuming they've somehow curated a group of people who are in the music industry, not famous, but in the music industry or music adjacent.
Yeah, but they can't have been experts enough because they just referred to them as the public.
Yes.
It was the randomest group of people.
Yeah, really random. And that was the one where they were like,
Oh, right, yeah.
could you put your hands up if you like the song? And no one put their hands up. One of our favourite past Apprentice scenes is when a group did some feedback on a toothbrush they'd made.
Yeah, for kids.
And one of them, he comes and he delivers the news. He was like, 50% of the boys loved the toothbrush.
And they were like, that's amazing. How many boys were there?
He was like 2. So they were like, so one boy liked the toothbrush. And he was like, yeah. And that was very this. Although I will say they didn't do a spin doctor in the way they usually do that was just like, they said this, but
No.
you know, they weren't trying to make statistics out of stuff. I guess you can't make a statistics out of 0% of people enjoyed this.
One of them phrased it in a really funny way where he was like, we asked for a show of hands of which there were none or something.
No, he said of which 0 people.
Of which 0 people, yeah. I think they all knew it was bad. Is this the most steps that they've ever had to do in The Apprentice? It was like a 9-part project, this.
There was so much going on for such a long amount of time.
I think the problem that they have these days is that technology is so advanced, is that like you can do this stuff really quick. Like, I don't think they needed to be in the motion capture suits.
I know.
But
she was also wearing heels. Did you notice that? One of my favourite parts is that they'd made her wear heels and she was like weirdly dancing.
But it wouldn't be an episode of The Apprentice if someone wasn't in like spandex or a motion capture suit.
Against a green screen for just no reason.
I guess the problem they have is that like, yeah, these days you can whip up an animation and a song probably in like 2 hours. They're like, we've got to give them something else to do.
Yeah.
So these weird other steps like seeing the public.
And then in classic Apprentice style, they were trying to sell a pop star to just a random room of people.
One of the randomest ever.
Why were they pitching to Simple Skincare? What was Simple Skincare going to do with this?
Well, I made a note of some of the brands. You had Jeep, you had Garmin, which is like the running watches.
Yeah.
You had Alfa Romeo, as they said.
Romeo. I'm going to stop you right there. It's Alfa Romeo.
They had something called like Dermalogique or something, which I assume is like some sort of dermatological thing.
Skincare.
But which of these people are teaming up with Bamy exactly? The car company, I'm like, I guess you could like use the song.
Yeah.
What's Garmin doing?
Genuinely, what were Simple Skincare going to do with a pop star?
Well, to be fair, they said as much, didn't they? Isn't that when they were like, we're not really interested? And then they kept trying to argue, and Nadia cut in and was like, they're done.
They're done.
Let's go.
And that's a wrap on Simple Skincare.
And the rest of the team, to be fair, was a bit like, you can't just... Because didn't she interrupt that woman mid-sentence?
Do you know what? I actually really respect it, because why are we all bothering with Simple Skincare? Like, they're obviously not going to invest in this song all about getting rapping and making hustle and money. Like
making hustle.
It doesn't fit with their brand in any way, shape or form. And also, what are they going to do with an AI pop star?
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's not even about the song. It's like any AI pop star is a weird fit for Simple. I will say, I do enjoy Simple Skincare.
I love Simple Skincare.
They do a lovely goo, don't they?
We love it. We love a simple goo.
They do a great goo. It's simply good. But when I'm opening up a tube of simple goo, am I hearing tunes?
Making money.
To be fair, that is something that like Tim and Karen will often say, is that like...
Baroness Brady,
sorry. They'll be like, you know, the client wasn't interested and they kept talking to them. Yeah. It's a waste of time. So like them actually walking away...
It made sense.
Obviously it was done badly.
It was done terribly. But I agree. I think, what's the point? They're not going to invest. They should have honed in on... I mean, I don't think Jeep were ever going to invest, but they should have honed in on who they thought were the most likely to invest and really sown their oats.
Which apparently was Alfa Romeo. They were up for a 5-year deal, apparently.
Apparently.
Debenhams also was there.
What? Again? Do Debenhams even have a store anymore?
Question number 1. Does Debenhams exist?
They've all shut down, haven't they?
I thought Debenhams was gone. Maybe this is their big comeback.
Yeah. Bambi.
Debaminums.
Or is it Deb Bam microphone?
Yes, Deb Bam microphone nums.
I thought the feedback that it looked like a tampon was ridiculous. It didn't.
I think they're sometimes fed those lines.
Yeah, it didn't look like a tampon. It didn't look like a suppository. I wouldn't see that and think, oh, Bamy, that's obviously a suppository brand.
No. Also, like, it's very clear in this show that they kind of, they stitch them up a bit. Yeah. They get the designers to make stuff look a little bit crap or a little bit ambiguous. I think they definitely did some stitching up with Bamy and how Bamy looked.
Yeah.
Because that is not what the character looked like when they designed it.
The big reveal was so funny to the team. Where
very
they were like,
squat.
oh my God.
She's got very wide arms, Bamy. She moves like a truck.
I'm the human equivalent of a tank.
Bamy is
the human equivalent of a tank. A rare win for Lord Sugar's one-liners this week. I really enjoyed when he said, were you desperate to get home, to the girl who put herself up for PM twice? I thought that was actually really funny.
Because it was off the cuff.
It felt natural, that one.
Yes.
That was funny.
That's the one that we said. That's the weird thing about his one-liners, is that they're so canned and they're so laboured when he delivers them. But then he can just do off-the-cuff humour.
Yeah.
Like, he was quite sharp this week.
Oh, is it Mario? What's his name? Carlo.
I'm obsessed with Carlo.
Carlo putting his hand up and saying, I had no input in this, Lord Sugar. And Karen, Baroness Brady, coming back with, that's not something to be proud of. And he was prepared to go down fighting, even at the weird pop star treat that they got when they won, spoiler alert.
Oh God,
he was like, I did nothing this week. I was like,
and he kept talking about himself in the third person. He was like, Carlo has more to show.
But why would you keep putting your hand up and saying I did nothing, even especially if you've won?
But also earlier in the task, there was that point where he just went, can I just say I don't like any of this? And they're like, Carlo, why are you saying this now?
Max England was having none of it, was he?
Max England is a bit of a feisty...
Yeah.
It's giving mother.
Max England, former tennis star, was like, absolutely not. And he kept on saying, do you know who I don't like? Just out of nowhere, he was like, Carlo.
Yeah. Max England, though, has got a bit of a feistiness to him that I quite enjoy.
We love Max England. Come through, Max England.
Tell you who is rude, though, just to come back to it. Amber Rose was being so rude to people. It was crazy how rude she was.
When she was like, Nadia, you actually won't be doing the pitch because you're very disruptive. I mean, I don't doubt Nadia is disruptive, but doing that in itself is disruptive.
Yeah.
Like, you are disrupting the piece if out of nowhere you're just like, there's other ways you can say
it's vindictive. Also, two things. One, Nadia is like, you know, she's loud. She puts herself out there. She'd probably be quite good at a pitch.
Yeah.
2, Nadia is literally one of the artists who's
singing on it.
in the thing. She's the singer. You've got to have her on stage. But Amber Rose is like, first of all, she's like, we belong together, me and Bok. And then she's like, you can't. It was really messy, wasn't it? They genuinely don't like each other, I think.
Let's talk about the Apprentice firings this year, because it's kind of all over the shop. I could not see this one coming.
There's been this long problem on The Apprentice for years and years and years that anyone who puts themselves forward, who pipes up, who suggests an idea, who puts themselves forward as project manager, always just gets fired. And the lesson that has been drilled into candidates is basically just kind of not fade into the background, but coast. People really have coasted to the end. And anyone who puts himself forward a bit gets punished. This season, I feel like they're trying to rectify that by punishing people for not doing stuff. So even if you are, for example, Amber Rose, who was a bit of a tyrant, or Nadia, who was very argumentative, because they were doing stuff, I think they got saved. Whereas that woman with the charming Irish name, and I say charming because I cannot remember what it is or how to pronounce it correctly. Do you know how to pronounce it?
No.
Began with A. But I do think she got a bit screwed. We can talk about that. But that's who they're firing this season, is people who do less, I guess, which is interesting.
But I would say in the first few weeks, there are people who do less and there are people who do more depending on the challenges, right?
Yeah.
And we've always seen that. It's usually when we get further in, Lord Sugar says, I've not seen enough out of you. You're not speaking up. Like week 1, week 2, I would say fair enough. You're like, you know, if someone's not letting people speak, the girl who was fired this week was told to basically shut up.
Yeah, repeatedly.
I don't want to hear anything out of you. So it's like, what can I do? I feel, again, it's another unfair firing.
Yes, as much as I admire a new direction they're going with the firings, I think it was so unfair. Like, she was arguing back against Amber Rose. Amber Rose was like, you have to put your hand up to speak. Like, slapping her down. And then she only brought her back really to be petty.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy she was fired. I mean, again, are they keeping the big personalities in? It does feel like they are.
It felt like out of those 3, who would I want to see more of?
Exactly.
Yeah, the other 2.
They are, I think they're waiting for good telly yet again.
Yeah.
Also, is this the second blonde woman to be fired?
Yeah, the second
Anti-blonde bias this year.
Yeah, the firing's a bit all over the shop. And even in the speeches coming up to it, it's usually, you can kind of see where it's going. I was really worried our girl Nadia was going.
I know, because
I'm kind of a bit obsessed with her.
Yeah, Nadia and Max England are quick becoming our favourite characters. Nadia is just like so kind of demented in a way that is just amazing.
And I would say Jordan is actually up there for me. Animation.
Yeah, well, he was...
I enjoyed him laughing at how dumb it all was.
He was just so mad in a way that was wonderful, because every time something went wrong, you could just see him screaming internally going, I could have done, it's my job to do this. Twice in a row, though, we have been wrong about who was going to be fired.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming.
Did not, yeah. Who was your money on?
I kind of thought it was going to be Nadia. I think it should have been Amber Rose.
I agree. I definitely think it should have been her. You can't tell people not to speak. It's not.
Yeah.
Also, you can't. If she was a manager in an office, you can't tell people to basically. You can't talk to people like that.
No. If there was HR on The Apprentice, she would be sent there.
Should be done.
There's a second show, which is Apprentice HR, where the candidates have to do HR for the people on the main show. That's the spin-off I'm working on. Also, it's a cliche that, like, if the project goes wrong, if they lose, they fire the project manager. But she was the author of that. She made every decision.
Well, that's the thing. If you don't let people speak and every decision is your own, brands like Simple Skincare cannot endorse something that is all about money. And, it's not quite the right fit, is it?
Now, admittedly, they probably couldn't have guessed in a million years that it was going to be Simple Skincare
True.
they were pitching to. But you're right. I mean, it's still a very niche thing to try and appeal to brands with.
I think I would have gone down like a wellness.
Or just like happy good times. It's fun to have fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
Which I guess is what the other team did. Empowerment, these vague terms.
Every day can feel like a holiday.
Yes.
Something like that.
Or a song about like, I don't know, the boys being back in town. A song about what if there was a reindeer with a red nose.
Yeah.
These are songs.
These are songs. A narrative I'm seeing online is that people think The Apprentice is a business show. And I think that somewhere it's got lost, that people are like, it used to be great and now it's rubbish. But it's always been rubbish.
but the best kind of rubbish.
Oh, yes, solid gold rubbish,
Yeah.
right?
Everyone knows what they're doing when they're making this show.
Like, it's not a business show. It is a reality TV show. It is very massaged in some places. Yes. But the characters, the one-liners, the things that come out of The Apprentice, like some of our favorite ever scenes of reality TV are from The Apprentice. We had that guy when they had the selling task and they were both on the same patch of land and he was like, go on then, punch me, fight me. And he was like, I'm not going to punch you.
So some of the hardest I've ever laughed at anything has been from The Apprentice. Like it supersedes actual comedy shows sometimes.
We also had the guy who had the sailboats, all of the different sailboat designs as part of his business plan. And then the guy was like, I really liked you. And he was like, and then I looked at your business plan. And he was the guy who tried to walk out and he was like, that's not the door. And he was just trying to walk out. We touched on this earlier, but the guy who said 50% of the people we interviewed loved the product. And they were like, how many people did you interview? And he was like, 2. So they were like, so one person liked the product. Like The Apprentice has so many good bits. You just have to like be along for the ride.
Yes. And we've had quite a few comments from people who have said that they've never watched The Apprentice before and they're watching it now so that they can listen along with our podcast, which is really sweet of you guys. Thank you. And I hope you are pleasantly surprised that it is not a business reality show. It is a clown show for goofs.
It's just a bit of fun.
It is. It's just, and like, you know, you can tell, like everyone who works on this show, at no point do they want any business to happen. That's not what it's about.
Let's get down to business.
It's about trying to get people into morph suits as quickly as possible. Also, we should acknowledge before we finish up, Trey, the return of Trey. I mean, I've not watched all 19 seasons, but do they usually have returning people?
I don't think I've ever. It's an exclusive. It's a Japan exclusive. That's such a niche joke from our podcast. It's a Japan exclusive. Trey came back. The Apprentice, first time ever, I think, I've seen someone come back.
Yeah, Trey, if you're not familiar with the lore, he was in last season.
I don't know what he really did.
No, but he didn't even make it near the end.
I'm saying I don't know what he did in this episode.
Oh, apparently he helped produce the music, but we didn't see him beyond the introduction, did we?
We didn't.
But you can't spell Apprentice without Trey. And I think that's beautiful.
Can you? No. It's got a Y.
TRE, isn't it? I don't know how to spell it. You know, Trey has been in The Apprentice twice.
Right.
One's competing.
That's enough.
One's helping.
Hey, one's performing.
One's performing.
Quite
literally.
Right.
Once as a punter, one's performing.
And that's a wrap on The Apprentice.
Episode 2.
Thank
you so much for listening to Talk of the Townsends. If you haven't already, make sure to follow. Come on.
Come on.
And make sure to look at the clips.
Let's get down to business.
And there's clips as well on TikTok and Instagram where that poor little Instagram, again, if you're feeling charitable, just follow the Instagram,
I feel
please.
embarrassed plugging it.
We've been just slogging away on that Instagram.
Some videos get almost 300 views.
They do. We're the big 296 sometimes. So look, just follow the Instagram. What you got that's better to do? We'll be back this Thursday, will we? Possibly not, actually.
No, we will hopefully be back this Thursday.
We'll be back next week. So that's why you got to follow, so you can get the episode first.
All right, then.
I've been Benedict Townsend.
And I'll be Hannah Townsend.
Well, I can't wait for that. Bye.
Bye.